Yeah, I'ma kill you in a second if I have to. Use my mind as a weapon when I blast through. Put the basics in the base.
Right on, guys. Welcome to episode 12 of the PT Performance Podcast. Here tonight, as usual, with the boys, Nayte.
Good evening.
He's got the call up. We've got Richo as well.
I'm in the call up. I'm on this thing every week.
Yeah, but you're the tail end of it, really.
No,
I mean, you're always down the bottom, and
yeah, save the best for last is how it works, mate. I'm LeBron in this scenario. hang on, LeBron lost. I take it back.
yeah, you're LeBron in the most recent of scenarios.
Yeah, good. Yeah, damn it.
Right, fellas, episode 12, rolling along nicely. A bit of housekeeping first, I guess, for those that are listening. Thanks. For the ones that have been sending a bit of feedback, some comments, and getting in touch via DMs or in person when we see you around the gyms. That's awesome. Keep it up. Let us know what you want to hear and how you want to hear it. If you're listening on iTunes, reviews, likes and follows, all that sort of stuff. Same on YouTube. It does make a difference to how it ranks and how many more people get to hear our shit and watch our video and such. So, fellas, you got anything to add on that before we get rolling?
No, I appreciate you boys taking more proactive role in the social and kind of making me aware of when people tag us and stuff and like listen to the podcast. Like I'm stoked that really even one person outside of us three is really listening to it, because I know Mooney kind of goes back a bit.
And my mum.
Yeah, and Richo's mum. So like the fact that a few people are listening to it and the fact that a few people are getting some value out of it was kind of the whole point.
Yeah, exactly right. We weren't looking for big crowds. If we can make a difference for a couple of people that then go on to put it into action and have a bit of a win out of it, then fuck yeah, that's what it's meant to be about. So on that note, gents, today we're going to be talking about the exciting things that happen once you start selling PT. Nayte, what's on the cards, mate?
Well, tonight, this was actually my topic when our next guest kind of fell through or fell asleep or whichever one it was. We're talking finance. We're talking a little bit of money. So before we start to delve in and kind of take a hypothetical approach, what I've done, what could you do in this scenario, and throw it around. When it comes to this stuff, obviously we're no expert. So if anybody listening to this, please take what we say with a grain of salt. If you want to do anything, go talk to an accountant or financial expert before, of course, doing this. Don't take what we do as complete gospel. This is not our area. This is purely basic experience and hypotheticals. Right, now the legal stuff's out of the way and someone who goes bankrupt can't sue us. I think now that we've been helping people kind of make the dollars, we need to start to talk about getting them to think about what to do with the dollars other than going out and emptying their bank account to zero every weekend. Because you've got a lot of people who seem to be younger, like early 20s or before 30 or whatever, who are listening to this and who maybe like when I was early 20s, not really giving that part of my life much consideration other than I have money, let's do stuff with it.
Yep.
So I thought we would start off with kind of, what we've done. So obviously most of us have made the money or had some money and then kind of gone out and partied and spent it all and then just waited for the next paycheck to come in. But at some point that gets a bit arbitrary. You've got to start thinking towards the future and stuff. So what I would like to do is, at what point did you boys start thinking towards the future and what did you do about it? Start with Old Man River, because he's about 75 years old. So what did you guys do back then?
Level 39, mate. First of all, I put all my gold coins next to my
treasure chest.
Into my treasure chest and next to my barter farm. And then what we would do is get together on weekends and sacrifice goats to see. No, man.
Use your abacus to count your coins and...
Don't do. All right, so I guess, yeah, look, my situation, I guess, different to the two of you guys, that I was a dad when I first kicked off, so I had a mouth to feed and a partner to support and all the rest of it. So the money that I made when I was PTing didn't go to the party scene into blowing it on, new shoes and all that sort of shit. For the most part, it went basically from here to pay bills and to take care of.
Which might seem like no offense, like a bit of like I don't get any fun with it, but it kind of forces your hand, right? You don't really get to make a lot of mistakes that a lot of us would have made.
And you know what, man? At that point in my life, I was really stoked that I was actually getting paid or generating an income doing something that I actually really liked. Because up until that stage, my jobs were furniture removalists, working in a furniture warehouse, standing on the door of bars and nightclubs, dealing with wankers till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So the fact that I could ditch most of that and then get paid a reasonably good income doing what I actually enjoyed, yeah, man, it wasn't really like, oh man, I don't get to spend this. I was like, fuck yeah, the stuff that I'm earning, I get to pay my bills and such, but I was loving it. You know what I mean? So on that though, I guess, and again, guys, we don't want to have to keep saying this, so rewind to the start here, the hashtag disclaimer. But at that stage, man, I was just sitting there going, all right, so whatever, I need X amount of dollars to pay my rent. I need X amount of dollars to pay my business rent, which was fucking $4,500 a month. And I had direct influence to make more or less money, you know, so I didn't have to ask a boss for overtime. I didn't have to carry twice as many lounges up staircases or any of that sort of shit. I just had to be smarter, and I had to be able to find better ways or consistent ways to generate that income doing the shit I like. So then it got to a stage, and I won't lie, is my first couple of months when I started to actually do quite well with it was, I'll do the tax, I'll catch up on the tax later. You know what I mean? Like, the extra cash is good. I can quickly put it to here, and again, wasn't putting it towards any kind of high life living, but it was like a bit of a freedom moment of earn this, do this with it. But again, fortunately or unfortunately, I guess, is that I had an influence through my folks who ran a small business, and mum was a bookkeeper. So that was always in the back of my head as well, is like, take X amount and put it aside, take X amount, put it aside. So my tax-free moment was short-lived, and I'm kind of glad it is that I had that influence, because it didn't turn into something big and nasty before you know it, you know. And that's probably something that I'd be telling guys, is that, you know, get your own advice on that sort of shit, but put that aside from day one, and it doesn't even exist. You make $100, you take a chunk out, it didn't exist. You only made $70 or $80 or whatever it has to be based on your situation.
Yeah,
that's it, man. Well, that's pretty much how we did it, and then didn't really have the thought of growing it into something big and long term. It was just a month by month thing for probably the first year or so, man, to be honest.
Only a year. I can trump that. I'll see you, sir, and then raise. What about you, birthday boy?
Yeah, look, that's probably the biggest one, is you go from being an employee, so all of your tax is paid, all of your super is paid, and then the cash that you actually get in your hand is after that. So if it's after tax, working at wherever the fuck you worked, it's $600. $600 is all that you have. You can't. That's all you have. When you're PT, all of a sudden now you get given $900 in your hand, even though it should only be $600. It should only be the $600, but now you have the $900 in your hand, and it is very easy to go, I've got $900, not $600. I have $900, and I'm going to spend every dollar of this $900. That's the biggest, the hardest thing is at the start. You say, even when you say, like, yeah, I'll put it away, you don't put it away, and it catches up to you very quickly, and it does bite you in the rear. Because a lot of times when you're first starting, like we talked about, I wish I had this podcast when I started, and I had the amount buffer built for me so I could start doing all these things. But a lot of times people want to change in career. They don't have much in the bank, and or what they do have, they spend on paying for the course to get into it. So the mistake, like we talked about in one of the early episodes about starting with no bankroll behind you, is you go, fuck, I need every dollar of this. I can't. You're like, and then you go, you know what? I will, once I earn past this, then I'll start putting a bit to the tax.
Yeah.
But let me tell you right now, the minute you say that, you fucking lost, because that's not what's going to happen. So, like we said, talked about pre-framing, pre-setting everything up beforehand. Have the bankroll behind you, so you'd so much. It's just harder. Make it harder to get stuck in the trap that I got trapped in at the start, which is when you need all of the dollars to pay for stuff at the start, and then more money starts coming in, instead of going, okay, well, now I'm going to do the tax and the GST and not GST, because we'll talk about that later. The tax and the super, putting that aside and going, okay, this, from that 900, you know what, 600 is all that I have. Like it is very hard to do that. And it's when you're an employee, you never have to know what that's like. You don't have the option to spend that $150 worth of tax. You just never see it.
Yeah, no, you don't. But being in this position can obviously hinder you, but can also serve you a little bit. I believe you're going to hear the same from anybody who's been doing this for long enough. I wish I kind of was more of an adult with the way I did most of my money stuff in the beginning, and I didn't wait until this bit me in the ass or this happened. For most people, it is that tax stuff.
And that's what we're talking about here. The whole aim of this podcast is to try and help you either make the mistakes a lot quicker than we did, or hopefully not make them at all and learn from ours. So that's the whole point. And what we're trying to say is it doesn't matter what if you don't do it from the start, you're going to get into that habit of having that extra money, and that's the way it's going to go until it bites you in the ass.
Yeah.
Just don't let that be a thing. From day dot, if you earn $300 in your first week, fucking put tax aside from that. Yeah. Because if you don't start doing it from the start, you'll have this magical number that you say to yourself you'll do it once you get there. I promise you won't.
And for some people who listen to this and have no idea about cash, like when I first started, finance wasn't something that I was ever really all that savvy on, more clued in on it. I kind of didn't really have a thought process for it. So if you're sitting there going, well, these guys are talking about putting cash aside, I've got no idea, jump onto ATO, type in tax threshold, whatever, find out what bracket you're in right now. It'll give you a rough percentage that you're going to get taxed on, and just start putting that away. That's a really good example of something you can use. It's government regulated. They give you the figures to go off, and then go from that. And obviously, if you've got money at the end of tax time that they, is yours, you can do whatever the hell you want with it, great. But don't fall into the trap like we did of just spending everything and then waiting for the tax bill to come and having to pay it. Because, of course, you work for yourself. You're not going to get anything back unless you've really been paying stuff throughout the year or being ahead and on top of it, which I'm 12 years deep. I've only just really started doing that the last 3 years. Like I said there, Mooney, I raised you 9 years. Because you'll always play catch up. And there's going to be some people who will use this podcast and use their position in a commercial gym or working for somebody as a stepping stone to, like, I'm going to start here, but I know I want to start. Or I'm going to start here and I know I want this. You need to be able to show what you've earned, obviously through bank accounts and everything like that, and be taxed. So therefore, you need to be taxed on stuff. Like someone, think of it like this: rather than looking at your tax bills as going towards road repairs and bloody Centrelink payments for other people, think of paying tax as a bit of a privilege. The fact that you get to live here and do all this cool stuff, and there's not really a lot going on. Because if you didn't live here, you'd live somewhere way shittier. So just think of your tax like that, like it's just like a privilege tax. Put it aside. It's like you said, it's not your money. Pay it and move on with your life. Because as you get older and want to move up the ladder of business or gymming or whatever, it gets a lot harder. So if you can't adult with this specific part for a long time, please do not expect a bank to go ahead and give you lots of their money for you to fuck up.
Yeah. There's always, we're going to speak a lot of hypotheticals here. So remember, a lot of this talk here is hypothetical. The bank need to see realistically 2 years is what they need to see. And the hardest thing about running your own business, and I'll tell you right now, the hardest thing about being a PT is even if you can show them good numbers, they'll turn around and say to you, well, it's not guaranteed. That can fall down tomorrow. So let me tell you, even if you're doing the right things, even when you're showing them the right numbers, you're going to have trouble being a small business owner by yourself, especially in the PT game, to be able to get a loan. So if you're thinking that even if you do all that and you're showing you're earning 120K a year, that you're going to get money easy from the bank, let me tell you, it definitely does not work that way. Because they say to you, well, what happens if all your clients leave you tomorrow? Obviously, it would never happen, but that's what they say to you. And they turn around and go, well, it's not stable. And
you're a higher risk.
You're a high risk. So let me just say that running your own business and doing this, it is, regardless of how much you do things by the book, regardless of how well you do, like what they ask you to do, and no matter how much numbers you show them, it will be hard for you to get a loan. I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you from the start, because it is. It doesn't matter how much you're earning.
And here's
Now,
an old school tip.
having said that, they look at your last 2 years. So if you sort of don't need to be getting money from the bank in the next 5, then maybe if you have $900, you might have $850 instead of $600.
Yeah.
If you can connect the dots to what I'm saying. But that, look, each to their own, but just know that at some stage, you do have to start thinking seriously about it. But like I said, it's the reason why you go on the books is to show the numbers to the banks. But like I said, don't just think that because you have those good numbers behind you, the bank's going to help you out and be a friend, because unfortunately we are high risk and they still do not like it regardless of what you can show them.
But here's something
So
I want to add to that.
just know that going in.
What I want to add to that, dude, is like, you know, a lot of people will be, whether they're self-employed or employed, they'll do their savings on the side in just a autopilot style savings account. If they're savvy enough as a PT, if not, they're probably holding cash, whatever it is. But one tip I'd suggest is, if you're thinking long term, and you should be, go and establish a relationship with a bank. Like, go down and meet their business banking specialist or whatever. Say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to be. And if it's like you said, if it's a 5-year strategy, doesn't matter, man, because then at least you've got that relationship. They've got a bit of history with you, and you're not just a dude that all of a sudden's turned up and gone, we have no relationship. I don't even know who you are, but here's my 2 years worth of data. Now I want to borrow X. Like, I do strongly believe that it's probably a step that's been removed from the way things are done now, because everything's online, everything's automated. But I do believe that there is a certain strength in developing a business relationship with the business banker. Find the right one for you too. Like, you can go into a bank and go, I want this, this, and this. They'll go, can't do it. Sick. Go to another one. You know what I mean? Like, you've got the opportunity. You don't have to take what's on their menu straight away. So do that if you're thinking long term. You should be. So establish that. Take care of your bookwork on the way up, and it'll pay off.
Yeah. And if we haven't talked about it, or I think we did, get your clients on direct debit.
Yep.
Get your clients on direct debit, so you've actually got statements that you can show the bank. It's not you just depositing cash in fucking willy-nilly or this or that. Like, get your clients on direct debit. Most of the direct debit companies, like I use FFA PaySmart, they have all the spreadsheets and all the I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but they have all the printouts.
All the templates.
All the templates, all the financials they print, that you can print, look back at all that and print all that out. Hypothetically, if you're looking at a 48-week working year, normally on the books.
This will be good.
On the books.
Like a drum roll moment.
Fuck, here we go.
On the books, normally between 13 and 1400 is a good number to be aiming for on the books, because that puts you in between about 60 and 67, which is just below the GST threshold, which you probably don't want to have to enter in.
Now, well, I'm gonna guide this conversation so it has some structure. We're going to talk about GST now, and then we're going to lead into the cash component of PT, which is still a thing. So GST, goods and services tax, we all know what that is. The threshold is 75.
Yep.
Nah, wrong. Changed it to 70.
Yeah, okay. This is why I asked, because your dad's the bookman, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This is why I asked. So it's now 70. So if you are above that threshold, you have to be adding 10% on to your essentially taxable income, either adding it on yours or copying it yourself. That makes sense, everybody? So basically, if you're charging $70 an hour, congratulations, you're now at the GST threshold. You either need to add 10% to that and take it to 77, or you need to essentially cop that 10% on yourself. So now you're earning less money. So that's a decision every individual person has to make. And if you're thinking about going bigger, it's an inevitability.
Yep.
You can't have 10 fucking employees and all of a sudden you all earn $54,000 collectively. Like, what do you live on you come over on a boat, mate? Like, it doesn't work like that. You're going to get looked at very, very badly. So it is an inevitable cost of doing business if you want to grow. If you want to stay on your own for a while and don't want to go bigger, then therefore is managing your income is something you need to speak to your accountants about, ladies and gentlemen, which leads us to the very real topic of cash payments from clients in the PT game. We can talk about personal experiences if anyone wants to confess, because everybody has taken cash at some point, or we can talk about hypotheticals of that. Mooney looks like he wants to go first, so I'm going to let Mooney say something about the cash component, and then I'm going to let Richo dribble on for 15 minutes, and I'll polish it off.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. Like I said at the start, when I first started earning money based directly on my efforts, yeah, it was paid in cash. I didn't do the DD thing straight away, much like pretty much everybody. It didn't take long, like I said, with a bit of influence from the olds, being the bookkeeper and just stuff in general. I think pretty early in the piece, I wanted to get some sort of finance, and they just basically said, "Show us what you got." And I was like, "Oh, we got a box full of cash.
All of this.
And here's my diary. It shows you all the clients, and here's what they're on." And it's like, get the fuck out. Now I was like 23 at the time, so I got that out of the way nice and early. So on the direct debit thing, like any good tradie will tell you, cash is a Sunday afternoon job where you're mowing the grass for someone and they really appreciate the job you did. They slipped you $50 for it. So cash is a cash is, but at the end of the day, as we've already covered, they're not going to do much for you in the business growth aspect.
Yeah, okay.
So do with it as you will, man, but I'd just be still like on the taxing. It's like we just sort of talked about GST for a moment. I've always looked at it as it's a pretty fucking good problem to have to deal with. Like if you're earning enough coin that you've now qualified to be paying GST, I don't know if qualified is the right word, but if you're now in that bracket, fuck it, you're doing pretty well. So why don't you make the most of it or find ways to leverage that better?
Richo, come on, son.
Yeah. Well, look, again, hypothetically, look, I'm not a financial, to be honest, this is probably where my expertise lacks the most, where I am pretty awful. But hypothetically, I'd run 1350 on the books, and past that would probably be taken in the pocket in the term of cash. But that's hypothetically.
And look in your direction.
Hypothetically, what I would do, because that keeps you under the GST threshold. It shows that you earn enough. If the bank's deciding to have a good day, that they'll fucking even look at you. And it's again, look, it depends on each individual. If you're not good with getting cash in your hand and not spending it, then 110% put all of it on through direct debit. If you're just one of those people who, because you have cash in your wallet, you walk past something and you buy it, even though you fucking shouldn't, then just don't let yourself handle the cash. Don't let yourself take the money in your hand. Because let me tell you, I fucking spent probably 8 years doing that.
Yeah. A lot of us do.
I have a house full of shit that I don't need. And just because I had cash in the wallet and I walked past something, I thought, that's what I need right now. Yeah.
So with the cash thing, it's very real, and from my own personal opinion, it's 100% fine if you are doing the things we spoke about beforehand. The majority of your income is coming through something that is consistent, reliable, and has a footprint, so it can be seen. You're putting stuff aside for tax, whether you have a rainy day fund or your own style of super fund. You're taking care of the things that need to be taken care of. The tax thing for me, the cash thing for me comes with a few stipulations. Would I take a client that wants to pay cash? Yes, I would now. Absolutely. But at this point in my career, seeing what I've seen happen to other people, I will give a scenario hypothetically how I would do it. I would do it. Number one.
So hold on one sec. Before you go on, I just want to stipulate that with what I was hypothetically talking about, you reached 1350 first, then cash would come after the 1350 was through the books. And then hypothetically, if someone from your 1350 dropped off, someone from the cash scenario goes into that 1350 on the books.
So that's your new baseline, yeah.
But 1350 is the baseline before you can take the cash. And then if someone falls out of that, then the cash person goes into that.
What's it called, Richo? What's it called?
The cash.
Oh my God. You're like a Greek fruiterer.
It's like trying to get
I just wanted to so that it's not take cash and then build up the direct debits.
Mooney, this episode's called Finance with Richo 101, all right?
Yeah.
That's definitely got to be the title. So here is how I would do it. I would have it, if I was to take cash now, yes, Mrs. Jones, I will happily do this on cash because maybe she gets paid cash and she doesn't want to declare it either. I will do it in one of two ways. You prepay a certain amount of time. Either you're always a week in advance or they are a certain block in advance, like 4, 6, 8, 12, for you to be stipulated and not made up on the spot, ladies and gentlemen. Don't make it up on the spot. Have a process that you want to have go straight away.
And with that, it goes back to like what we talked about in the previous episodes. If you're not good at not taking a big sum of cash, don't have your stipulation as 8 weeks in advance. Like, just don't put yourself in the situation where you get that big bulk. It should be common sense. Unfortunately, common sense is not so common these days. So I do just want to throw that in. If you are not good with big sums of cash, do not fucking stipulate that they pay you a big sum of cash.
No.
Like Nate said, make it a week in advance. Don't go, sweet, it's going to be fucking 8 weeks in advance, like 8 weeks blocked, because you get fucking that much money, you're going to go buy some dumb shit that you really don't fucking need. And then you're going to be going, fuck, it feels like I'm training this person for free.
Can I get a word?
Because you want to spend all their cash.
Hey, so the prepay thing is massive, whether it is a week or whatever you want it to be, purely because most of us have stipulations of cancellation policies or training systems because we are running a business, things have to adhere to things. And it's going to be hard to get something after the fact if there's no real reason to give it. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I personally think that depending upon who the client is in the beginning, if they've been with you for a long time, they want to move to it, fine. Maybe run the gauntlet for new clients, but a client dealing in cash is always more likely to stay less long purely because of the handover portion of it, depending upon who they are and what their psychology towards money is. And lastly, number 3, when doing any cash components, there's 2 places you don't do it. On the gym floor. All right? I'll give you a story about that in a second. And number 2, out of a dimly lit car park through a window. That looks sus as fuck. The gym floor one is massive. Like, work out a way to either get off them at the start when they walk in, just do it at your PT locker or whatever. Like, be really casual about it. Don't do it in the middle of the gym floor, because here's the scenario, and I'm not making this up. I have seen this. Client gives trainer several thousand for time. Trainer takes this cash in the middle of said gym floor at probably between 4:30 and 6:30 at night. People that attend the gym aren't always the most trustworthy. Trainer therefore takes cash, puts it in his bag in the PT room, comes back end of the night, goes home, opens his bag, cash is now gone. What do you do?
We call that stupid tax.
What do? You can't exactly go to your client and go, hey, I lost you 3K, give me another 3K. You got to own it. So if you're going to take larger sums of cash, you need to either have a place to have it, keep it on your person, work something out. But long gone are the days where you can just take cash, pocket it, and kind of do everything willy-nilly, especially if you want to kind of go and move forward in this, which some people do. So you have to have that headspace straight away.
But it's even more basic than all of that, this sort of stuff that we're talking about. And I think, I still need to do this now. I 100% still need to do this now. So this applies to me right now. I'm learning my own lesson. I definitely feel like at the start, you need to find an accountant, find someone you trust. And it's one of those things where we're not the experts in accounting. So, but we have to start, we run a business, we have to start paying someone to do these services for us. The stuff that you can't do, you need to pay. Again, like we talked about, unfortunately, people think that it's just training people. It just really isn't. It is running your own business. You're running your own business. Super is not getting paid. Tax isn't getting paid. Like, you need to think about your future. You need to figure out, are you going to put money into a super fund? Which super fund are you going to choose? Are you going to not do super and go try to invest yourself smart? But these are things that you need to speak to either an accountant or a financial advisor about. And I definitely think it's something that you should do from the start. Like in your 12 weeks, when you're doing your 12-week build-up period, go find an accountant, speak to a financial advisor, and figure out how are you going to make this work for you so that you can actually retire at some stage. You do actually have something to fall back on at the end, because you don't want to be doing this for 20 years and go, fuck, I didn't even put $1 away for super. Not even $1.
Guys,
Not
you know
even
what?
$1.
And it takes
I didn't pay any tax.
It takes the same discipline and approach as it does to write a meal plan or a strength training program. You know, it takes the same discipline to stick to your own training methods and what you expect your clients to do. So it's not like we're expecting or telling or preaching you to go out and do something that's fucking hard and terrible and painful to do. It's the same mindset, it's the same mentality that we do every day on our other shit anyway. We're just talking about numbers now.
Yeah, and I think on that should probably be about it, because I think that's enough for people to go off and have the thought process triggered and to go and ask some people who have more expertise, more questions.
Yeah,
because they're the two biggest things that concern us: tax and cash.
Yeah,
they're really the two biggest things that come up all the time.
And super. Look, I think super is a very unspoken about one, because you're not getting your super paid when you work for yourself, guys. Like, there's not when you're an employee, there's a magical fairy that pays that for you. When you run your own business, you're a PT. The magic fairy is not real. He goes away. There's no one paying your super. There is no one looking out for your future for when you decide to retire.
Look, I've spent years.
You need to be the person to step up and find someone to help you with that.
I've spent years doing neither. Like, I've spent years doing no tax and waiting for it to come in. I've spent years putting nothing aside for super. So now where I'm at, no, it doesn't leave me screwed or at a disadvantage. It serves me to make me a lot smarter in terms of finance and looking for the best ways to do things long term. So now, being at level 29, almost level 30, I get to now look at things and try to make up lost ground. So I look at it as a way of it serving me. But someone who's 21 listening to this, as hard as it might be in the beginning for you to put that stuff aside, it's going to have to happen. So I would try to get in the habit of doing it sooner rather than later, because no, you're not listening to people who have failed or are broke or are struggling to pay off debt or whatever like that. You're listening to people who would just wish they'd taken smart opportunities
earlier.
That's all it is.
Yeah, just spent probably more than 5 minutes, but spent the time to get your head around it being more than just accountant speak. You can learn the basics like anything. Like we've spoken about this other thing. You don't have to be the master social media guy, but you have to understand how it works. You don't have to be a master on nutrition, but you have to understand how it works. You don't have to be a master accountant. You just got to understand how it works. If you understand how it works, it makes more sense. Then you go to your expert. Then you can communicate on the same level. So then they can actually spend some time and make the most out of your situation rather than, if you don't know, you don't know, right? So it's June 13 now that we've done this episode. So just under 3 weeks before the end of financial year. So it's a good timing. So if you haven't got your shit together now, here's a good reminder for you. If you're still in student mode or creating mode, maybe still employee mode, and somewhere between now and this time next year, you're going to be self-employed, you've got 3 weeks to get your shit together and start counting it from day one, which is July 1st.
Yep, cool. All right, boys. I think that's good.
Right,
Richo, any more nuggets?
Hey?
Nah, sorted. Kish is done.
Cash money on Richo.
Far out.
Kish is done.
Don't ever give anyone your address. They'll start looking through your mattress and your walls.
Guys, iTunes, PT Performance Podcast. Get on there if you love what we're doing, if you're getting something out of it. Reviews, comments. YouTube, the same. Castbox, if you're on Android, it goes up simultaneously at the same time it goes on iTunes, so you don't have to do anything special. Instagram, you'll see at the end of this, our Instagram handles for those that are listening. Mine's at 51_fit. Nate?
I changed mine. I don't remember what I changed it to. We'll work it out. Just listen to us on iTunes first.
And guys, look, we don't ask for money. We don't get paid for this. All that we ask is if you got something out of it, please share it with at least one other person that you think could benefit from listening to this. That's all we ask. Share with one other person that you think could benefit from this.
And the guys that have been giving us the feedback and have become regulars, thanks heaps for your support and for letting us know. It's good that it's always good to know we're not talking to an empty room, even though we probably would anyway.
I would do it 100% anyway.
100%. It's 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. I know you boys have got early starts, and I'm a few hours away from being done myself. So thanks for your time, fellas.
As always, lads, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night, Richo. Birthday boy.
Happy birthday, Richo. See you boys next week.
See you, boys.